Hello, all the Inderes TV viewers and listeners. Rovio published its Q3 results today, and here with me is Rovio's CEO, Alexandre Pelletier-Normand. Hi, Alex.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You had pretty nice quarter again, and there was lots of going on. So could you give us a little highlights of the Q3 at the first?
Yeah, I mean, the Q3 was another quarter which in our biggest market, which is the US, was declining quite sharply year on year. The US market declined 15% year on year. So we did pretty well during that quarter. We grew 8%. And I think, the main highlight for us was the performance of our live games. It's really something that we concentrated on. We put a lot of focus on live games this year, so that's an important result for us. And if we look at our top two games, Angry Birds 2 grew also 8% year on year, and really the star of the quarter was Angry Birds Dream Blast. With 18% year on year, it actually grew 25% quarter on quarter. So we're very, very happy to see this result. And of course, we're eager to, analyze carefully what we did right, on this game to make sure that we reproduce it as well on our other big games like Angry Birds Friends and Angry Birds 2. So yeah, quite a lot of things happening in the quarter. And, since live games is so important for us, that's why we had other news to announce, right? If we want to continue to support those live games, we need more people, right? We need to grow the size of those teams. So we also announced, for instance, the opening of a studio in Barcelona in Spain.
Yeah, actually, my next question was about that. Could you a little bit open up that topic more?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a little bit of a different studio compared to the ones that we have right now, because they will focus on working with our puzzle studio in Espoo to grow their live games, right? So the games that are already doing well, already growing. There's a lot of great expertise in Barcelona to work on live ops, to work on level design, and we feel that it's good for us to have an additional talent pool to recruit from, and not only recruit for this in Espoo. So that's what they're going to be focusing on, and I think it's a good opportunity for us as well to internalize certain things that we used to do externally, like level design, for instance, something that historically we've been doing externally quite a lot, and as we want to raise the quality bar for those games that are doing well, makes sense to internalize more and more of those things to have more editorial control over the content that we deliver.
Yeah, and like you already mentioned, there was many live games performing really well on the quarter. But if we look at the declining games, there was like Angry Birds Journey was declining from the previous quarter, and also Ruby Games had a pretty rough quarter. So could you a little bit open up what's going on with those games?
Yeah, so the Ruby Games and the hyper casual market, I think, is in flux. The downloads decline for that market, the 18% quarter on quarter. So that's a pretty big decline. And for us, what this means is that we really want Ruby Games to focus more on hybrid casual games, so that are a little bit closer to casual games, and those games are a little bit longer to do. But they, as you know, they have a great IP to work from. They have Hunter Assassin, so now they have two games that will take advantage of the Hunter Assassin's IP. So one of them is a player versus player, real-time multiplayer game called Hunter Heroes, and the other one is Hunter Assassins 2, which is single player, a little bit more similar, but with a deeper metagame that the first Hunter Assassins. So they're really doing this transition there, and they have actually 4 games. There's 2 additional games that they have in hybrid casual. As it comes to Angry Birds Journey, as you said, like quarter on quarter, there's been a decline, and when I look at the past few weeks, actually stable. The decline is pretty straightforward, right? We reduced the user acquisition investments because we didn't see the return that we wanted to see. So, it stabilized around, 5 million quarterly run rate, which is not good for us in terms of when we release a new game. The ambition is much higher, but I just like to keep in mind that for many of the games that are the stars of today, like Angry Birds 2 and Angry Birds Dream Blast and even Angry Birds Friends, they had pretty tough quarters at the beginning, and then we managed to turn things around. So it takes some time. So we want to give the team a little bit more time for investigation, iteration to see where this leads. So we're going to be following this carefully in the next few quarters.
Yeah. All right. Then you opened up at the earnings call your games development pipeline a little bit more than before. So could you give us some updates from that on that front?
Yeah, that's the most exciting part of the job, right? Looking at those new games that are coming in the pipeline. That's really fun. And the reason also why we open a little bit more about this is just because we test them on the market earlier and earlier, right? And our fans are picking up on those games. They see it right away, and then they start talking about it on social media. So might as well talk about it openly. But so we talked about the games that you already know about. We talked about the Moomins, which is progressing as expected. We already mentioned Bad Piggies 2. So this game is being done by a Stockholm studio. I was playing it, an early prototype earlier this week, and it looks good. And this is expected to reach soft launch at the beginning of next year. We also talked about a new Match 3 game that is being developed in our puzzle studio here in Espoo, that from the team that did Small Town Murders. So this game looks good as well. We did some early marketability test on an RPG Angry Birds game that is being done by our Copenhagen studio. This one we never talked about. And as said just now, we have 4 hybrid casual games that are being done by Ruby Games. The new studio that we acquired in Montreal is also working on some hybrid casual games. So the pipeline is pretty healthy. Officially, we talk about 10 games in the pipeline, but those hybrid casual games, they can iterate pretty fast. So at least 10 games.
Yeah, that's interesting. Lots of stuff happening there. Let's then talk about the outlook. Everybody knows that the mobile gaming market has been pretty tough this year, and it was still in the Q3 declining. But do you see any signs of improvement? And you actually gave the guidance for the user acquisition for Q4, and you're planning to increase the UA. So do you see opportunities to still grow your live portfolio, or where is that coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of the call that the US market declined quite sharply year on year. But what's interesting to note is that quarter on quarter was pretty stable. It was only minus 1%. So will this trend continue? It looks much better than it did a few quarters ago, right? So there are some signs of recovery. So let's see what will happen there. What is certain is that on our side, we continue to see opportunities like we did with Dream Blast at the beginning of the quarter. We still see those opportunities now, so we can invest more in a profitable manner. So when we talk about those additional UA investment, the difference is not that big. We talk between 28 and 33% of game revenues to be invested in user acquisition in Q4. And this can be explained really by 2 reasons, right? First of all, Q4 is actually a pretty active quarter in terms of event. We have Halloween, we have Christmas. So there's many things that are happening in games. It's generally very good quarter for mobile gaming, and also on top of this, we see good opportunities to continue to invest in games like Angry Birds Dream Blast. So that's why we guided it slightly above what we spent in Q3 for UA investments.
All right, and then last question. Rovio started a small share buyback program just couple of weeks ago. You're planning to buy 1% out of the shares. What is the purpose behind this, and can we see more of the buybacks after now when you have paid the Ruby Games 50% acquisition, or half of the acquisition with your shares? So what's logic behind this?
So those shares those shares can be very useful because we can use them to pay for acquisition, like we did for Ruby, and we also use them for long-term incentive programs that we have for certain employees. And as you know, we can only own 10% of our shares, so this program will bring us very close to the maximum that we can own. And after that, like those share buyback program are decided by the board. The board gets to decide, if they believe that we need more shares or not. So there's really nothing more that I can share at this point.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for the interview, and I wish the best of luck for you for the rest of the year.
Always a pleasure to chat. Thank you.